Alright, fellow engineers, I am Dublong, your engineer of the day, but you knew this already because you met me in part 1, where I reviewed Tiemon Kauppa. This is not Tiemon Kauppa, this is Tiemon Kauppa Mark II. I've made some significant upgrades, based off of the design previously copied by Geen Glory Zonder. This version costs 153,248 materials, it has a volume of 10,564, a firepower of 108.1, half and half this time, and an armor cost of 33.9%. You see, I said the Tiemon Kauppa was not a bad ship. Well, it's a bad ship. It's easier to make less bad than you might assume. In the description, I have included a brief checklist on what you need to do to make your ship not the worst thing that's ever sailed the 7 seas. I made a couple alterations to Tiemon Kauppa per these recommendations that I made myself, and have collated from various sources from the community. Namely, let's go over them right now actually. First of all, I've added azipods. These azipods are using regular propellers, so they are relatively efficient compared to steam azipods. That means I've been able to put on a ton of them. I have not changed the engine, even though I just revealed that it was kind of terrible, because actually I reviewed Tiemon Kauppa after I'd made this. Kind of a post-hoc realization there. I have used a modified version of the Hypernova's pulley ammo boxes in order to make them less reactive. Do they actually prevent the left one from exploding if I hit the right one, though? Yep, nice and unexploded. Look at that. Now our ammo doesn't immediately explode. And perhaps the most controversial addition, I have used Zero-Clip APS Tetris here. You see, Zero-Clip is less efficient, but for me, when I'm using a 7x7 turret, especially if you're using a 5x5 turret, but even 7x7, you need to figure out how to connect the APS autoloaders. They can connect from the sides, or my preference from the top. Since our barbette was already 3 blocks tall, though, I didn't want to make it 4 blocks tall by adding ejectors. I guess it'd be 5 blocks tall, actually, by having ejectors and a top connection. So instead, I just used Zero-Clip. These attach directly to each other from the sides, and because they have only 1 shell loaded, they do not chain react for some reason. I guess the shells in the clips would detonate, but for some reason the ones in the autoloaders at least are significantly less destructive when they explode. They still blow up, but they don't blow each other up, which is, well, unless that happens. Still though, a measured improvement over the previous arrangement. I've also added some random stairs and decorations here, just because. Oh, we've been looking at the back of the ship the whole time. That's embarrassing. Wait, yeah, the front's that way. Right. I made it into a canoe. I just took the front ends, I removed the front turret because I didn't like it very much and I haven't made any changes to it, and then I just slapped it on the back. These new guns, by the way, 757.7 material per firepower, and 11.82 volume per firepower. Not the best, mind you, but I did get to use every single block in here, and you could probably convert this into a 3 or 4 clip, or even a 2 clip system. That works better, but for example, you know, you're going to have to figure out how to negotiate the positioning of the recoil absorbers, and the cooling units, and all the connectors. You can do that some other time, and honestly, if you did that, I'd recommend switching to a top connection system, where, for example, your autoloaders have an open spot on the top, and that gives you much more freedom to place your autoloaders, so that they do not have to connect to each other, which is an entire can of worms of APS confusion. Plus, if you manage to, all of the material and volume improvements are mostly only useful if you can use every single cubic meter of this 5x5 signature. For example, if you miss this entire spot, that's 8 cubic meters of room in your turret that are being unused, which, of course, hits and digs into your firepower. Also, I've added shield projectors. Again, easy addition. Not EMP shielded, by the way, that's on the list. This was not supposed to be a full-on combat craft. If I wanted to mix the combat craft, I'd spend another 2 or 3 hours making sure that all these systems were optimized and making sure they actually fulfilled all the items of the checklist. I just wanted to prove that Tiemon Kauppa was able to be improved in a way like this. Speaking of which, let's put Tiemon Kauppa against a craft that will put it to the limit. What's annoying to fight at an early stage? Let's fight an airship. Let's fight the Moray. I think we're going to lose, but you never know. Other major thing I did, IFF module, and I actually trimmed down the missile launchers in order to have more resource and room for our cannons. Because I like the cannons, actually. I thought the cannons on the Tiemon Kauppa were underrated. Especially now that they're zero clip, and they don't explode everywhere. The Moray can't do very much to us because its cram cannons are not very accurate or well optimized. And, of course, we've added some detection. In this case, 10 crosslink power and some extra gimbal trackers to give us some extra detection accuracy. All of these shields are strength 10, and I guess we don't have enough engine power to actually run them all. In this case, then, I think it's wise to just slap on some extra fuel engine bricks. You can do this, by the way. It's not going to be as efficient as having a proper, larger engine room, but it'll do, and the Moray's dead. We destroyed it, only taking 2% damage. So, if you made something like this in an early campaign, this could absolutely clobber the Deepwater Guard. Now, another subsystem review. Did I miss anything? Is it more acid pods, more stuff in the rear? Again, Border-wise was cooking when he popularized the canoe platform, because, I mean, that saves me from building one extra turret well, and one extra ammo compartment, I guess, and one extra stern. The armor is honestly the hardest part to make again, because it's just so many blocks. Well, not hard, more like tedious. Also, missile controller. Oh, I suppose actually, the point is, this is an insulated AI compartment, and it's quite large, which is why I use this one specifically. The gist is, basically, you want to have your AIs insulated, but heavy armor and rubber insulation is very expensive. Not very expensive. It's expensive in volume, not so much in material cost. And it certainly pays itself off when your AI does not immediately fry itself upon getting hit by EMPs. Nonetheless, I had to plan this in, which meant that I took a pre-built design, cut the ship in half, and just slapped it into the middle. That was the easiest way to do this. Speaking of which, do we have shaped charge protection? Let's cut away here. No, this thing still needs beam slope armor. It has not been added yet. But beam slope armor is in the ship checklist, so you will not make the mistake I did, out of wanting to save time and build this quickly. Because unless people really want to see combat Tiemon Kauppa Mark II, then this design is probably going to stay where it is. Hey, maybe someone would make a Tiemon Kauppa Mark III with breadboard evasion or some other high-tech solutions I haven't figured out yet. If somebody can figure out how to make Lua aiming to get the main cannons to hit flying squirrels via using second derivative target prediction, that would be awesome. As far as I know, though, there was only that one YouTuber whose name I cannot quite remember, who made a Lua script and then didn't share it. Oh well, I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Anyways, yes, you do want beam slopes in order to make sure that you do not get absolutely shreked by HEAT and HESH. Anyways, let's spawn ourselves in. Oh. Let's spawn ourselves in on the Teimon Kauppa Mark II. And take a look at that. We have a quote-unquote walkable exterior. Overall, I am unreasonably proud of the Teimon Kauppa Mark II, if only for the fact that it just kind of proves that the ship was not irredeemably terrible. The line between a bad ship and a good ship is far thinner than you might think. Although, I mean, I guess it's up to you on whether or not this entire refit was quick or simple. It was basically just an extension. The sinking problem, by the way, was just corrected by having more empty airspace. It really was not that difficult in the grand scheme of things. Of course, this is not a completed ship, but again, checklist in the description. Follow it, and there's no way you can make a bad ship. In fact, I challenge you, if you can make a bad ship using the checklist I made, please correct me. Ping me in a YouTube video. Tell me what exactly I missed, and we shall have a fine discussion, I'm sure. Other than that, I have been Dubalong, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully not a joke video this time. Oh, and one more thing before I forget, actually. This is the Tiemon shot. 3 warhead AP heat with a base bleeder.